Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another SLG Meetup. Today we're going to have our very unique special guest. He's Michael Silacci, winemaker at Opus One. So if you are ready for some nice wine and to learn about what it takes to get the perfection, he's going to be the one going over these details. So while we listen to that, let's get a glass of wine and enjoy it. Michael, how you doing? Good, and yourself?
Very good.
Amazing.
Good.
So good seeing you. Good seeing you. And
good to see you.
I wanted to make a quick introduction because I know Opus One is a very well-known wine brand, but for those that are tuning in, just wanted to make sure that everybody understands that you guys produce ultra premium wine at your winery in Oakville, California. And I'm the lucky one today that has the bottle right here. So one better than having the winemaker himself right in front to go over everything that it takes to produce such quality wine. So thank you for joining us.
You're very welcome. And you're a little bit luckier than I am. You are in a good time zone to be tasting the 2017 Opus One. But I guess any time's a good time, right?
Here, let me pour one right here. Amazing. So cheers, Michael.
Cheers.
Thank you. All right. So before we jump into what's going on with the wine and how you ended up building such, amazing quality wine, you have a really interesting background because you were a heavy traveler and that's where you found your passion. Tell us a little bit about it.
Exactly. I didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up, so I decided that I would travel and I wouldn't go home until I found what I wanted to do. And I didn't want to go to university and spend 4 to 6 years studying something and get a job that I didn't like. So I headed out to Japan, but I stopped in Hawaii for a weekend, which turned into 3 months. And I camped on a beach just north of Kaanapali in Maui. And I worked as a dishwasher at the Sea Scoop restaurant and went to Hare Krishna on Sundays and to eat good vegetarian food, and then went to Japan and through Asia, Southeast Asia, made my way to Europe. And when I arrived in France, I looked up a French woman in Paris who I'd met in Tokyo. And she said, if you want to learn to speak French, eat well and earn money, you should pick grapes. So I got a haircut, borrowed a car, and drove out in the countryside near Nantes in the west on the Loire Valley. And I drove into this little domain, and there was a fellow loading sacks of sugar into the back of a van. And I said in my, the broken French, I want a job picking grapes. And he smiled and he made me understand that if I helped him finish loading the little van and delivered it, he would get me a job. And he did. And I fell in love with 2-hour lunches and wine. And it was so amazing. So, and with picking grapes, it's I understand now it's a lot different, what you should be doing. But there, I'm with students and we're picking grapes, and you don't really have to understand the language because you just follow what people are doing and you're clipping off clusters. And when you start to get hungry, you keep looking up and seeing when people are going to head in for lunch or dinner. But it was fantastic. And then I went to, but I wanted to tell you that when I had arrived in France, I had decided I wanted to become a kindergarten teacher. And the reason being that I saw so many children in third world countries, and I thought I could make an impact on these young lives, because children are so open to learning and listening. So I could make an impact on lives by teaching kindergarten. But then I became a winemaker and a viticulturist.
Look, you still helped a lot of people go through, especially these times, because there is nothing better than enjoying a good glass of wine. And indeed, today we have the one and only. This is the selection, right? This is from the 2017. It was released not too long ago, right?
It was released on October 1st. We always release the wine 3 years on October 1st, 3 years after the harvest. So this just came out not long ago, a little over a month ago.
So I tasted it. It's amazing. Now, what's the magic? Because I know you had some fires going on in California, a few months ago. So how has that impacted? This obviously is from 2017, but in regards to facing these fires, how do you overcome these things?
Well, like in 2017, for example, there was actually quite a few things going on in the winter of 16 to 17. We had a lot of rainfall. The vines started started growing a little bit later. Was because the soils were a little cooler with the water. Then the vines started growing. Then we had a few little heat spells, little heat bumps during the summer, and we started harvesting in September. And we had harvested 91% of our fruit, so 90%, 91% of our fruit by the time the fire broke out. And so we were pretty much unscathed. And also when the fires first start, I've noticed this with other wines that I've tasted, that you know, the first couple of days aren't going to have that big of an impact with the smoke. But it was if your fruit's hanging out for quite a while, yes, definitely gets impacted. You may or may not have noticed because you were just getting started with the Instagram Live, but when you first smell the wine, it has a nice freshness, like the smell of stems of red roses. And
Totally.
then it starts to develop into rose petals and some black cherries and cassis and all these other flavor and aroma compounds start to show up.
I think this is very amazing to do because a lot of people are staying in their homes nowadays. So to organize a Zoom virtual wine tasting, it's amazing, right? Are you guys working on that?
We are. We've had a few. I've done a few groups. Yeah, it's fun because the interactions, of course, very different. But
look, it changes your mood automatically. I'll tell you that. Just the sound itself and the aroma makes you be in another level. So this is very, very nice of you of taking the time to go over your story and how it, you know, produces such amazing wines. Now, with everything that is going on, I know that you are currently focusing on keep building those ultra premium wines. And how has it been impacted with everything that we're facing with COVID?
Well, you know, what we've seen is that we were 60% on premise, so restaurants, and 40% off premise. And we had a great person who was running our sales team. And right away, he recognized that restaurants weren't going to be open for a while, and he shifted the focus to off premise to retail, and then our VP of communications who oversees direct to consumer, et cetera, and the VP of sales, they automatically switched to focusing on people who are going to buy the wine and take it home and enjoy it with their family and friends at their homes, rather than and so they shifted their whole perspective and their whole focus that way. And I was amazed at what they're able to accomplish.
Now, I have a question for you, Michael, because right now everybody's shifting mentality when it comes to the word luxury. It's all based on perspective. And I gotta tell you, for me, enjoying a glass of wine right now, that's like super luxury. So what is it for you?
Oh, it's really doing our best to allow the vineyard to tell its story. And we make classic wines that are expressions of time and place. So the time is the season. So you have a warm year like 17, it's going to be more like the black cherry and the cassis, but still have some of that freshness because of when we pick. And then a vintage like 2010 or 11, where it was a little bit more rain and a cooler season, that's going to be more herbal, like fresh fruit. You know, like fresh fruit. What's the difference between fresh fruit and ripe fruit? In my description of wines, is fresh fruit would be like a cherry off of a tree. Ripe fruit would be like cherry jam. So it's a little bit more. There's a little bit added layer of richness, but. And then the place comes through in the mouthfeel, the structure, the texture of the wine. And as long as we allow the wine to, if it confuses people, if they have to think, if they have to go back and tasting wine is sometimes like reading a poem. You know, you smell these certain aromas, you taste something, and then you allow it to sit in the air a little bit more, and you go back and say, oh, the aromas have changed. They're developing into something different. And the mouthfeel is getting a little bit more fluid. So to be able to watch it, you go back and like when you read a poem, you read a few lines and then you close the book and you think about what the poet is trying to say or what you get out of it. And then you go back and you reread those lines and the meaning changes. And poetry is as fluid as wine.
So with that being said, because you define it very well, and I love the comparison between wine and poem and the poetry itself, you know, it's very nice. So are there any takeaways or any things that you as a winemaker have experienced that you would like to share to any wine lover out there that is listening?
Well, I think that, you know, we make wine to go with food. And I think one of the things that is the most fun to do is to to go to a restaurant. And well, now we can't go to a restaurant, but you can go to a wine shop and you can say, I'm going to prepare this meal tonight. So my family came from Ticino in Switzerland, the Italian part of Switzerland. So maybe I go to a wine shop and I say, I'm going to make a stew. Maybe I'm going to make short ribs. Now I'm starting to drool. I'm going to make some short ribs and have it with polenta with maybe a little Parmesan. And what kind of wine would you suggest to go with that? And then we're going to have maybe some Chilean sea bass for the fish course. What would you recommend for that? And just to start to have a communication with people who know food and wine. The easiest is when you go to a restaurant, because the sommelier knows the wines on their list. He or she also knows the different courses, the different dishes that are being prepared, and they know what goes with what. But the interesting thing is to try something they think definitely will work, and then something you think will work, and compare the two. You taste the wine, you take a bite of food, and then you taste the wine again. You see how the wine has changed, how the food has changed the wine. And what does it bring out in the wine? Does it make the wine taste very bitter, or does it make the finish of the wine resonate like the church bells at the Vatican after they've stopped ringing? You know, does it really long and flavorful? I mean, that's what's fun about wine and food, is that you can learn so much by trying both. Like you see at tapas restaurants.
Oh my God,
you know?
all the time. It's amazing.
Yeah.
The combination between the tapas, the wine, and especially if you do it with a nice group of people,
Yes.
it's the best time. It's the best time. Actually,
Yes.
you know, we're talking about this and I'm really enjoying it. And after this call, for sure, I'm going to put some food together and enjoy the rest of the wine. Not everything, though. It's work time, but later. Now, what I'm going to tell you for sure is that here in Miami, we have lots of people that are coming to stay at some of our properties. And I think that when they arrive home and they have a nice bottle of Opus One, I think that their faces change automatically. So I'll be getting you a nice few cases to have over here.
Very good. And it'd be nice to have you and some of your associates and clients come visit. You know, this
for sure. I think that's very special. That's a very special experience. Yeah. We'll make it happen for sure, Michael. And myself, I know I'll be visiting you for sure, hopefully not too far out. And again, I wanted to thank you for your time, for the wine. I mean, beautiful and really enjoying it. And as I said, if there is anything that we can do to help out, you know, or vice versa, happy to do so. Everybody tuning in, please follow Opus One on Instagram and all social media. You guys are phenomenal. And if you want to say any last words, please go ahead.
No, we have a brand new space that we are just opening. It's closed right now because of COVID-19 this week, but it's a beautiful partners room to welcome guests. It's very comfortable. Lots of reflections on France and California, and hope to see all of you come visit soon. And it's been great to chat with you. Cheers.
Thank you so much. Cheers.
Take care.
Take care, Michael. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, guys. So that was Michael. Great guy. I mean, the wines that they do over there in Napa Valley are phenomenal. So I hope that all of you got to enjoy the conversation and the insights of what it takes to get great wine into place. So for all of you, I wish you all a great rest of the day. And if you have not gotten this bottle yet, please go ahead, go online, check it out. It's by far one of the best wines I've ever tried. So my whole recommendation. And as I always say, have a beautiful day and keep the beautiful success in life. See you next time, and cheers.